Hey y'all, she goes Stephanie. This is Wrestling Color Podcast right here on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe. I'm gonna give you a few seconds to do that. And go ahead and thumbs up the video as well. Turn on the bell for notification if you're interested. Hit me on Hit me on Pinterest and Instagram. Those are the two spots I'm most active. And let's just go ahead and get into the podcast. Y'all know what to do. I appreciate each and every one of y'all as usual for even coming over here and listening to my sultry voice and thoughts. It's sultry, right? Don't even answer that. So what we talking about? Book the women's division better. That was directed at AEW, but somehow it's become all encompassing, especially with Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus being removed from the SummerSlam card. Well, according to Triple H, it wasn't even announced, and he has a point there. He said it wasn't even announced to be on the card, so how can I remove it? He has a point there. Touche. No Rhea Ripley's match because she mixing it up with the fellas, and that's a whole nother conversation in itself. The match we did get was a triple threat: Bianca, Charlotte, Asuka, Io cashed in. Everybody was excited about that. And that awful MMA style match between Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey was excruciatingly difficult to watch. SummerSlam was actually very excruciating and difficult for me to watch. I had a long day anyway. I probably should have waited to the next day to watch a replay and maybe would have enjoyed it a little bit more, but I'm never going to play that SummerSlam again. And I have to say, the end segment was absolutely unbearable and unnecessary for it to drag and trudge along the way it did. It really was. I'm not mad at Jimmy, Jay turning on each other and about to wrestle. That's awesome. I'm just mad that it took that fucking long to get to that point. Y'all could have did that in 15 minutes, but whatever. That's not what we're here to talk about. What we're here to talk about is book the women's division better. So this all started because Britt Baker had a terrible match with Talia Valkyrie. And instead of people acting like human fucking beings, they decided to go to Twitter, which is now X, and rip Britt Baker a new one. And then go over to Taya Valkyrie's Twitter and call her all kind of fats, losers, ugly, fat bitch, hoe, die. I mean, just let her have it. All because of a match that didn't go well. According to Britt Baker, in this article, she did an interview, by the way, which is where I'll be referencing. She did an interview with TV Insider. And the title is AEW star Britt Baker on dealing with trolls and the 200 episode of Dynamite. So her excuse was she never got into the ring with Taya. That was the first time they mixed it up, and it was a hit and miss. Okay, no big deal. That's fine. But, you know, AEW is a different breed of fans. She thinks the trolls are WWE diehards and wrestling enthusiastic AEW fans who are trolls. No, the trolls are trolls. I don't give a fuck what promotion it is. They are just simply hateful people on the internet. That is why I don't frequent the internet. I just told you, Instagram and Pinterest, because I don't have time to get doxxed. I don't want nobody telling me how big my head is and how wide my eyes are. I am not interested in none of that bullshit. So her match was terrible, and the camera panned to a fella in the audience who had a sign that said, book the women division better. Now, I was going to say give because it was WWE at the time who had a hashtag generated movement called Give the Women a Chance. We even had Give Naomi a Chance. Naomi deserves better. The women deserve better. Like, it's nonstop. It's nonstop push to get the women where they need to be. So, while we all are on Britt Baker and Talia Valkyrie, AEW has an extensive amount of hours of television, if you include AEW Dark and whatever else is on YouTube. So Dynamite is what? 2 hours. Rampage is an hour, I believe. And now they got Collision on Saturday, which is 2 hours. I believe it's 2 hours. So they got about 6 hours worth of TV. Now, if you want more, you can go and get the Ring of Honor app and watch Honor Club to get all of Ring of Honor's content. And that's why the problem lies in this conversation, is because Athena in AEW television, women's division, is the most dominant figure in the women's division across AEW, and she's not in this conversation. That's how I know this conversation is a bunch of bullshit. When women are on AEW TV, we're getting crotch shots, titty shots, and ass shots. When the men are talking about women's wrestling, they're talking about tits, ass, crotch, and how fat and thin they are, and how they don't need to be on TV. Get the bitch up out of here. That's it. But now some guy is talking about book the women's division better. That is absolutely hilarious. So let's see what Bray had to say, because I might agree with her, and I also have something to follow up and wrap this up, because I don't want to harp on this too long, because it's a disingenuous conversation. It's not real, and I don't appreciate it. It's almost antagonistic, to be honest. So Britt said the question was, you talk about the passion of the fans. There was a sign on AEW on Dynamite that was a fan sign that said, book the women's division better. When you see that, what kind of reaction do you have? You've talked before about the importance of maximizing your minutes, putting the time in, but also women getting the time to tell a story. Fans are so passionate about wanting more than what we're getting. So 2 things jumped out. Tell a story and time. Time, story. So let's see what Britt had to say. She went on to say, I see both sides to that because I completely agree. The absolute best matches that come out of professional wrestling come out of storylines you're invested in. There are weeks and months that tell this beautiful story. It's something we haven't been able to invest as much time in the women's division lately. Again, there are many factors. Injuries, this and that. That's the factors, guys. The many factors are injuries, this and that, okay? I definitely want to get to the point where we can get some solid storytelling within the women. So we all acknowledge that the first issue as to why the women can't get booked better is no storytelling, injuries, and this and that. So that's 3 issues. She said, at the same time, the fans who hold the signs that say to book the women's division better, that's great. Then when I go on Twitter, it doesn't echo that. I don't see that same support. It's, I hate these 2 wrestlers. This match is too long. This match is too short. If all you see about women's wrestling is all negative online, it doesn't add up to what they're preaching. If you want the women to be booked better, support the women. Okay, so I agree. Support the women, give them more time, and give them a storyline. So you got 3 things. Support. PPORT. So we understand that merch is an indication of support. The top female women wrestling merch sellers across AEW are none. The top female merch sellers in WWE are Bianca Belair and Bayley. And the fact that Bayley has surpassed Charlotte Rhea Ripley, and the man Becky Lynch is a testament in itself. Bayley is loved. So she goes on to say, you don't have to like every wrestler in every match. You also don't have to get on Twitter and preach from the mountaintops how much you hate things. Some stuff keep to yourself. I can't tell you how many times I go to a restaurant and I don't like how the steak is cooked, but I don't need to talk to the chef and take 30 pictures of the steak and tell him I don't like how the steak is cooked. There's too much invested in the negativity that it's done so much harm. I hope people realize one day how much harm it does to not only individuals and the mental health, but to the industry as a whole. I agree with Britt Baker. But unfortunately, in the promotion that she's in, mental health is a joke. Women's wrestling is a joke. There's no space for women to wrestle comfortably. That man had that sign, and the merch to her testament says just what she says. There is no support for the women. Okay? If this was a true argument from that man with the sign, he would have had book Athena better in the women's division. Because across AEW, Athena is the most dominant women champion, period. Now, I'm going to wrap this up because you also know why we can't get a better book women's division. Impact Wrestling has some of the best women's wrestling and the best stories right now, and you're not watching it. Impact Wrestling has Mickie James over there and Gail Kim as writers. There you go. When you have men writing for women, writing for an audience of incels, neckbeards, and men who don't get dick or pussy, they become very charged up and angry at said people. So, these writers tend to write stories that are very childish and stupid. For example, Ember Moon was in a storyline with what was her name? Damn, that blonde one and the one with the dark hair one. I just completely forgot their names. She was in a storyline where her video game got taken and they broke it. They took her book and called her a nerd. She was sitting in the back looking nerdy and stupid. Right now she's in a storyline dominating the fuck out of all the women that come in front of her, and she's waiting for competition. No one's talking about it. AEW storyline is WWE wrestlers that's been fired in Ruby Soho, Saraya, and Toni Storm. And they are the misfits, and they are running around spraying other women in the face with green spray and telling them how stupid and weak they are. That's the storyline. What the fuck are we talking about here? When you could easily get a woman writer in that writer's room to write realistic grown women ass stories that show passion. Every story does not have to have a rocky undertone. Your TBS champion is doing what? They just took the AEW championship off of Toni Storm, and she's on Haruko. I cannot pronounce her name. So what do you think is going to happen with this new AEW champion? Is she going to be thrust into a robust cinematic storyline? No, of course not. Half of you don't even know how she's even in the picture most of the time because she's not there. Not to mention she was just complaining of not getting any type of airtime to be on TV. It's a lot of contradiction. There's a lot of nonsense.